Hello everybody, welcome back to the great state of Montana. Hey, this is the Carbine Cowboy. Hey, I wanted to do a little Q&A today. I've had people write in on some of my videos, ask me a few questions, and I thought I'd share my responses to those questions with you. Here just previously, for those of you that saw my video on using the 45 ACP to hunt with, I had a gentleman ask why you can't use full metal jackets out of the 45 automatic for hunting. Well, that's pretty simple. It's because most states forbid the use of full metal jackets for hunting big game animals. They're fine for predator hunting, varmint hunting, but they're not permissible to hunt big game. Hope that clarifies that answer. The other question that I had received was, I know those of you that have seen my previous video, the pros and cons of the 6.5 Creedmoor, where I was talking about hunter ethics and long-range shots. I had a gentleman, and I get quite a few of them, where he said, well, as long as you practice a lot, and if you can see the target, why can't you shoot at it at 900 or 1,000 yards? What's the big deal? Well, I'm going to answer that question pretty simply. Right now, it's about 60 degrees. I take XYZ rifle with XYZ ammo. I go out to my shooting area. Let's say I can hit the gong all day long at 600-700 yards. Okay, fine. In a month from now in October, when our deer, elk, and antelope season start for rifle, let's say the temperature is 20 degrees, it's blowing snow, you got a crosswind of 25-30 miles an hour, and you've just been boonie stomping for about the last 3 hours, 900 yards away on a distant hillside stands the biggest buck or the biggest bull elk you ever saw in your life, and you're going to mentally sit there and you're going to say, okay, last month with this rifle, this scope, I got to be XYZ inches high to hit that thing. Okay? You're not going to do that on the fly. I mean, come on, give me a break. You know, I tried to explain to this gentleman that there's a big difference between hunting and shooting. Okay? I mean, I don't understand what the big deal is. I mean, are we raising generations of people that have no concept or ethics? I mean, this is kind of a sensitive subject for me because, you know, as hunters, you know, we need to instill this in our young, because, I mean, just because your car can do 100 miles an hour doesn't mean that gives you the right to go flying up and down the freeway or inside of city limits at 100 miles an hour just because your car can go that fast. I mean, you have to take a little personal responsibility. I mean, what was that old adage I heard a gentleman say? You can tell what kind of a person you are when you do the right thing, even when nobody's looking. I mean, you know, I mean, you have to have some kind of regard for the animal you're hunting. I mean, I tried to explain to this gentleman, you put a bad bullet, you know, where it's off its mark into an elk, they can go miles, and I do mean miles across the country, that is going to wear you out in a heartbeat. You may not even get that animal. I mean, I've seen wounded elk take hits from 338 Win Mags, 375 H&H's, and go 5, 6, 7 miles. So, you know, you have to use a little logic. You know, I mean, when people make comments like that, it just drives me totally berserk. I mean, I guess I'm just getting older, and I guess my wife is right. You know, I just have no tolerance. I mean, if you can hit a piece of paper at 1,000 yards, hey, more power to you. But a piece of paper is not flesh and blood and bone. And, you know, I want to bring the animal home that I shoot. I don't want to brag about the one that got away that became coyote bait. So that's just my little rant there. Some of the other questions I get, I had an interesting one. A gentleman asked me about using an AR-15 for home defense. Well, let me try to give you the short answer on that. A lot of you guys and gals that watch my videos and have your own gun shows, you can chime in the comments section and let me know if I'm on the right page here, but I'm not a big advocate of using rifle cartridges inside of a dwelling for home defense, and let me explain why. With modern day building construction, most walls in a home are sheetrock, 2x4 studs that are about 16 inches apart, and insulation. That's it. An AR-15 round, a 5.56 223 round, will penetrate that like a hot knife through butter. Now the problem you have is if you have young kids, you know, different rooms of the house, that's where I start getting a little worried. Or if you live in a suburban type area, we have homes that are relatively close around you. You really don't want those rounds penetrating your home and possibly hitting someone on the street or causing personal property damage to your neighbor's house or car. They kind of get a little pissy about that. You know, it's not that they have a problem with you defending your home, they just don't want their house or their car shot up, if you can get my point. I'm a big advocate for home defense of a shotgun, and I'm going to clarify that with, I'm not a big advocate of using buckshot. Again, Paul Harrell did an excellent video on using buckshot, and you figure the average length of a living room, let's say 14, 16 feet. That's relatively not that far. And even a 12 gauge or a 20 gauge round full of buckshot will easily penetrate a bedroom wall or a living room wall. So I'm an advocate of using like birdshot, number 4 or number 6 birdshot inside of a dwelling. Most of the pellets will not penetrate a standard wall. They may go in halfway, but that's about it. I mean, any of you that have used a shotgun for bird hunting understand what I'm saying, because even on a duck or a rabbit or whatever, you'll find most of the pellets will be stopped in the feathers, or if they do penetrate the bird, they only go in an inch or two or something. I mean, you know what I'm saying. I mean, I'm not saying that you can't use a AR-15 or whatever for home defense. I'm just saying that if you have children, or you know, you have neighbors that live around you relatively close, you might want to be a little careful about that, just for those reasons, to help keep you out of, you know, getting in trouble. But I'm all for self-protection, self-defense, so don't get me wrong there. But you know, these are just a few of the questions I get, and I try to answer them, you know, as logically as I can. And you know, I guess the biggest problem I'm having with some people is I don't know if it's Hollywood, or if it's, you know, misinformation, or people have just never been properly educated. But I get a lot of strange questions. And when you stop and you think about it, you're going, you know, what's the purpose of some of these questions? I mean, they make no logical sense. I mean, you know, why would you want to use a full metal jacket to hunt big game with? It serves absolutely no purpose. They don't expand. They make a nice, neat little hole. I mean, shooting a human being is one thing. A man cannot absorb the punishment that a deer or an elk or whatever can. I mean, we've all known people that's hit deer with a vehicle. The deer will get up and run away. You hit a man with that same vehicle, and the only place they're heading is to the morgue or to the hospital. So, I mean, it's you know, two different scenarios there. You know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you people can correct me. Maybe, you know, maybe I'm just getting old or set in my ways or something. I don't know, but, you know, I just, you know, I read some of these comments and I'm scratching my head going, you know, I don't mind educating people if they really want to know. I'll give you the best info that I can, but you know, you gotta have an open mind, you know, when it comes to different people's opinions, and they're all valid. I mean, I used to know a man that carried a .38 special, and he carried it for everything: personal defense, hunting, trapping. I asked him why, and he goes, "Why not?" I go, "Well, why don't you carry something a little heavier, like a .357 Magnum?" He goes, "Well, what's a .357 Magnum going to do that a .38 Special Plus P won't do?" Well, when you really stop and think about his analogy, he's got a good point. I mean, well, I don't know. I'm curious to hear your comments in the comment section. This is Labor Day, so all of you have a safe and joyous Labor Day. And I will be back with you later. Our hunting season has started here in Montana. Some of our upland bird species are now open to hunt. And archery season is now started. And here in another month, our big game for rifle season starts around the end of October. So we're going to start getting a lot more hunting videos out for you guys. I hope you will appreciate that. So anyway, in the great state of Montana, this is Carbine Cowboy saying, see you next time.